today we are trying to talk to you directly. On every Saturday, we do organize varieties and have the podcasts and interviews and have discussions on many various aspects, be it cultural, language, refugees, politics, economics, management, and everything. But today we change that mindset. What if for this evening perhaps might be even this may happen in the future also. We are trying to talk to you directly, and this is called the straight talks. Now you may wonder what happens that makes us to go for straight talks. Well, there have been lots of developments in the last 2 or 3 days across India. Well, I don't. Please pardon me if there is some problem in the visibility. In the last 2 or 3 days, there have been some stupendous developments in India. In Punjab, we have found the Khalistani attacks, the Khalistani movement, the Khalistani zeal to have a new future is again on the rise. We have seen that a huge number of armed mob, too many murderous mob, challenged the local administration, and the local administration in Punjab paralyzed before them and surrendered. Many have started to think, is this a reawakening of the Khalistan movement of the 1980s? Well, we don't know whether it's going to reawaken the Khalistan movement of the 1980s or not. But what happens to us is that we are trying to find questions to very serious, find answers to very serious questions. The first, what makes me ask, what ails the Sikhs in the Punjab area? We were hearing they are going to opt for a new country, new state, new developments or new bargaining from the central government. But being a Bengali Hindu and even from a descendant of a refugee family that had taken refuge in India in 1947 or prior to it in 1946, I do wonder if the Punjabi Sikhs can be so aggressive, what ails the Bengali Hindus? If we take the history into consideration, it shall be found that the partition of India brought before two types of refugees, two categories of refugees, one privileged and the other one deprived. The privileged refugees happened to be in Punjab, the West Pakistan refugees, while the deprived ones were from East Pakistan. That's the Bengali Hindus. And from the very beginning of there have been huge discriminations between the two types under the aegis of the central government or the Congress, the paramount Congress party at the time. At the best of Sri Jawaharlal Nehru, the first revered Prime Minister of India. Nehru had opted for the partition also to become the country. We do all know it. But from the very beginning, there had been discriminations against the Bengalis or the Hindus. The Bengali Hindus or the Bengali-speaking Hindu population in particular. There have been compensations for the West Pakistan refugees. There have been exchange of population for the West Pakistan refugees. There have been huge monetary benefits or blessings of the government, which remained unbelievable for the East Pakistan ones. When they were having the best times in Delhi, we were thrown to the inhuman camps of Dondokoronno, the Mana camp, the Bucks were forced to live along with the animals, along with the rats, to maintain a livelihood. And unimaginable, I might use the word, but to many political pundits, The number of Bengali Hindus died as a result cannot be counted. So from the very beginning, in 1947, there had been deep and categorical discriminations between refugees of two sides, and in 2023, the same refugees who had become privileged are now demanding for another country. So this is going to be the central subject of our straight talks today. Many of us do not know, especially those people who are trying to project themselves as the leaders or the central point of Hindu nationalist movement, that Bengali Hindus till this moment, in the last 75 years, have encountered almost 90 genocides. From West Bengal, Assam, Northeast India, Myanmar, we have encountered 90 genocides. And that makes the Bengali Hindu populace the worst human rights violated nation in the post-Second World War scenario. But neither the United Nations nor the European centers of power, not even the champion of human rights across the world called the United States of America, have ever geared up to solve the issue. Now what we are seeing at this moment among us is almost that we are on the verge of in Bangladesh, the 20% population of Hindus, that was in 1949, has come down to 7.6. It's dwindling further. I think it's now 7. And by the coming years, it will turn into 5, then 2, then 1, and then 0. And that is going to make Bangladesh the largest homogeneous country across the globe. And definitely Bangladesh is going to have its new prices and new roles with great merriment and lots of blessings from the new political centers across the world. This is going to be the final crackdown on us, on our destiny. So you may find that why this person is coming to straight talks. I am talking of a nation, a beleaguered nation, a deprived nation, an wounded nation, a raped nation, who is being raped continuously for the last 8 decades. Just before coming to this session, I was just going through the reports of the Refugees Rehabilitation Ministry of the Government of India in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. There was a person called Mehechad Khanna. He was for the Northeast province, and he got instrumental to deprive the Bengalis on the behalf of the central government, to deprive the Bengalis in any possible manner. What could have been the brightest opportunity for the Bengalis to go against Delhi was snatched, was exploited by the communists or the lefts. They started to state that these conditions of the Bengalis are nothing but the conspiracies of the central government. And by saying all these slogans and uttering these words, they got our faith and our votes, and they came to power in Bengal. They were challenged, replaced by the Trinamool Congress in 2011, and now the Bharatiya Janata Party of the northern Indian section of Hindutva politics is trying to get hold in the state. We do not know whether it will be able to go and get any hold, though it is having 18 MPs and more than 70 MLAs at the moment. The party has not been able to lift a single mark on the Bengal politics. In all this situation, let's ask ourselves, where do we stand? Or do we stand at all? In a few conversations in the last 2 weeks, I realized very well that till this moment, the entire India is yet to know that Bengal was also partitioned in 1947 along with Punjab. Only Punjab was partitioned at the time. And this is written in the history books. This is written in the literatures. While the Bengalis who had contributed and sacrificed most in the liberation struggle against the British imperialism continue to bleed. This is also the central question to us. Would we go on bleeding? Or would there be any respite for us? We do not know. Have you ever thought, how can a person or how can a nation be divided in such a manner? Just on yesterday, I was going through a video on Bengal business, and it was, I think, made by any person who is non-Bengali, and it stresses the sense that Bengal is a lazy, they're incompetent, they can't be in business. But the very gentleman or doesn't know or pretends to not to know that Bengal was exploited with the freight equalization policy in the 1950s. And not only Bengal, the whole of eastern India was exploited. There was a drain of wealth. From August 15, 1947, Bengal was under the imposition of draconian laws by the central government. It derailed the business activities, our business ventures, and our destiny. And this inhuman scenario, just imagine a decade or a time when your business activities are getting affected, when it is getting derailed, when millions of penniless, homeless people are on the move across the state, and the tremendous commotion is being exploited by a few people or a political party legacy that has no relation to the land or has come here to exploit it further. All this had happened with Bengal. And in 1963, till 1963, Calcutta, that was the economic capital of India, was replaced by Mumbai and then Bombay. The Clive Street of Calcutta, once known as the Wall Street of the East, that means not only eastern part of India but also of the Southeast Asia, was replaced by Dalal Street. But we have learnt only Dunia ke Mazdoor ek ho, workers of the world unite. In the 1980s, when the Bengal was killed strategically and with an nefarious intent, the whole SL industry was replaced in Madras, now Chennai, it's Tirupur. Laborers and workers there got privileged, they got the balance, they got bank balance, they got good amount of money in their bank accounts, and the workers in Bengal got deprived. So how can the workers of the world unite? We have never asked this question. Why? We have never asked any question straightly. In the 1950s and 60s, the MPs and the MLAs of continued to fight to each other, for furthering the partisan interests, and never fought unitedly against the central government's policies and exploitations on the state. After 1967, each party was against each other, and there was murders, violence, not only Calcutta, but every city and every corner of the state was being paralyzed by lawlessness and disregard of human lives. Never ever any move has been taken place in Bengal where the MPs can speak in one tone to develop the state's interests. And this has been going on for decades at a stretch. Now the question remains, what should we do now? Should we go on like this, or we get conscious to put a break to all these things? Have you ever thought of this? Have you ever thought of a day when you were thrown out of your own homes, out of no reasons? You are living in the pavements, along with the entire family, the children, your aged mother, and you were running from pillar to post to earn a few bucks to feed the entire family. And you can still remember that even a few days back, you used to own a very good house, run a very family healthily. This has been going on with us even. But none has protested against the government ever. Now the Sikhs, the Khalis, were moving for the Khalistans. The Marathas, who had never witnessed any partition, who had never gone through any genocides in the last 200 years or even more, have formed their own political party to wrest their own rights from all. What the hell have we done in all these years? We have never thought to get united. We have never thought to be with the other one, to make an united struggle. This has been the fate of the Bengalis, or the people whom we eulogize. We the people who fight in the Facebooks, the Twitters, telling that yes, we are the Bengalis. We had a glorious past. But unfortunately, we are staggering now. We don't know why are we staggering. We have never asked this question to anybody. Have you ever asked your parents? You haven't. Have I asked? I haven't. Had my parents asked their fathers? Had we questioned our grandparents what had gone wrong? Why was the state truncated? Why was Bengal partitioned? And why were we turned into paupers or beggars almost overnight? We have never thought. We have never asked the same questions in the literature, in the spectrum of poetry, not to speak of economics. The central question must be asked by each of us now or never. And we are coming back again to the Khalistanis. I do not know what are going. I'm sorry, I must speak very decently. I do not know what are going to be or going to happen to the Khalistanis in the few years or few months from now, but definitely the entire northern India is going to be in an uproar. The entire northern India is going to be smashed. Entire northern India is going to be ruled by the powers that have no faith in the Indian democracy. You might consider me as a lunatic, as an insan, but definitely this is going to happen in northern India. Since history repeats itself, and those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And in this case, we the Bengalis have never learned from the history, and we do repeat the the same thing in each and every decade. Do you disagree? If you disagree, can I ask you one question? Have you ever gone through the numbers of the Bengali Hindus who have been thrown out of the legitimate lands in East Pakistan or Bangladesh? Have you ever gone through the numbers or accounts of or the annals of the Bengali Hindus who were gang raped, who were made victims of a guest genocide in Morid Chapi? We haven't. For a few years we have been talking of Morid Chapi and its extreme violations, extreme disorders and extreme persecutions in 1979. Do you know the fact that to distract the entire issue of Morid Chapi, there was an unholy alliance between the Janata government at the center and the left front government in Bengal? The Janata Party government at the time happened to be the friends of the lefts. So the Janata Party government didn't ask a single question to the lefts in Bengal of how did Morid Chapi happen. No question was asked. When the Bijan Setu massacre took place in 1983, the opposition parties hurled abuses at the left government and stopped there. There was hardly any measure to have the justice. And the injustice, it sounds, still continue to be in the same manner. Have you ever thought of a state that has extreme possibilities of success? A state that can rise and trounce the other competitive states within a very few months, thanks to its innumerable infrastructural resources. Have you ever thought of a state that has a river port and a seaport, and a sea route and a river route, and can be the focal point of the trade and commerce in the Southeast Asia? Have you ever thought of a state having a huge number of elites, a huge number of educated young men and women, but jobless? If they are provided the jobs, they can do miracles? We haven't thought. I haven't thought. None thoughts. None thinks. The state is West Bengal. And what is? They are the Bengalis. We have never put all these questions to Delhi at any time. We have never asked the questions to anybody. Only a few days back, 2 days back, I was going through the Palestinian genocide of 1948 and the Palestine exodus. Then I came to a point where I found that the Palestinians fled from the Israeli iron claws and took shelter in Beirut and many other countries in the Middle East. In the same manner, there had been a Bengali Hindu exodus in 1950, just after 2 years, and it was from East Pakistan. There were two exodus, but there is a fundamental difference between the two. The Palestinians didn't take rest. They came back to hit the Israelis. And what did we do? We settled in West Bengal, in the railway tracks, in the refugee colonies. People who used to own the mercantile banks in East Pakistan were turned to paupers. The women folk were raped, killed. Many children were killed. But not a single question was ever asked. What did we do? Had we committed any mistakes? There was not a mistake. We suffered for our religious identity, for our linguistic identity. While in East Pakistan we suffered for our religious identity, we suffered for our linguistic identity in Assam. Perhaps you cannot forget, if you know the Bengal Kheda or the anti-Bengali movement in 1958, the most violent movement in the 1950s Assam, then you do know that what happened at the time. So for all these 8 decades, we have been living under false pretension. We have been stating that everything is normal. But the fact is that nothing is normal for us. We are living in an extremely abnormal condition. We do not have any future. We do not know what to do. Or better to say, we don't know what should be done. From the 80s to 2023, first due to the lefts, followed by the other political parties and the political henchmen, there has been an extreme rise in illegal infiltrations of Bangladeshi Muslims across the border. Have we ever asked the question to the central government, why is Eastern Indian border porous still if compared to the northern Indian areas? Have we ever asked in the last, as I was reading in the newspaper, that the central government has brought out a special bill, has passed a bill of 30 crores or some similar amount to augment and develop the security measures of the North Indian bordering areas. What is the fate of the Eastern India then? Have we ever asked, are we still the collateral damage to the Union of India like 1947? And the Bengal is the collateral damage in 2023? There can be rest with any power, since we are a spent force. In 1964, East Pakistan witnessed one of the most horrible genocides that can be found in the records of human history. Plunder, genocides, back human rights violations, all these words do fall, will get ashamed when they will itself get ashamed if the facts of 1964 are unearthed. Those were the days of horror on the Bengal Hindus, since there had been a theft of a Hazrat Bal in a masjid in Kashmir. So for the theft in Kashmir, innocent Hindus living at 3,000 kilometers away from that area were murdered overnight. And the next very year, when India-Pakistan war took place, Indian army didn't enter the defenseless East Pakistan. The army of India didn't enter the defenseless East Pakistan. And according to military journals, India pardoned East Pakistan. So the land, the government, and the populace that are guilty of murdering us were blessed by the government of India. This is a brutal reality. And this brutal reality must be accepted. We must get very, very thoughtful. We must contemplate what should be done now. Many people do ask me, sir, is this your sole agenda in the life? And I do say with conviction, yes, this is my sole agenda. Ever since I had been in this ideological conviction, I've been trying to speak for the Bengali Hindus, since we are the most depressed, wretched, suppressed, persecuted in the last century. We have contributed most against the British. We haven't got a single inch of benefits as a result of that. Well, patriotism is a noble word, I do know. Well, we were fighting as the British for the national independence, I do know. But if everyone can have his own benefits, why don't we? So it's a time for us to consider whether we are going to unite it or not, whether we are going to get a single stand, whether we are going to form one nation, one language, and one destiny. That's the greatest point of considerations today. What are we going to consider? We cannot live in the same manner anymore. We must have our own industries. We must have our own lands. We must have all the benefits that can be given to a human individual to development. We want to get it. We want to have the minority privileges, and where we are getting minority. In Bengal, 3 districts are having Muslim majorities and Hindu minorities. Murshidabad, it is North South Dinajpur, and Malda. But the Hindus do not get a single benefit from as being the minorities, despite the fact the word minority has no exact definition in the Constitution of India. Have we ever asked the government at Delhi? Have we ever asked the government in Calcutta? What is the considerations and what are the basic criteria of to become the minority? If I become minority in any area, in any district, despite the fact that in the state where I am majority, it can be denied that I am minority in this district. So why shouldn't I be given the economic privileges? We have never asked this question even. The problem lies in the fact we have never uttered a single word, and the world has gone against us completely, in a single manner. While the other constituent states of India have enjoyed a disunity, our lack of growth, our attitudes prone to civil war, the illegal migrants of Bangladesh are taking place, are replacing us in the trades, in the commerce, with cheap labor. So where can we go? If you think that you are going to survive by getting transferred or going to other states of India, then you are making the greatest blunder in your own life. If in Bangalore today, the Kannadigas get conscious of their own rights and try to portray the Bengalis as people who have snatched their jobs, what should be done by you? They have every right to speak of them. If the Bengalis can speak of them, it doesn't mean that anyone cannot speak of them. Everyone is conscious of them. The Punjabis are conscious of their own identity, not to speak of the Tamils, the Gujaratis. Now I'm coming back to the question, what do you do? If in any state, if in any area, the Bengalis are in good numbers, but the local people consider themselves as enemies who are coming from outside and snatching our jobs, and they must be thrown back. Where did you go? You will come to your home state to find that your own residence is in shackles. It is occupied by anybody, by any individual who is not a friend of yours. What shall you do then? Would you be in the pavements? Or would you take your own life? Or do you go for a suicide? Or would you ask, what have I gone wrong? So in all these minutes, what have I said, what I haven't said and what I am yet to say portrays a single point, that we are under attacks. We have been under attacks for the last 8 decades in any spirit, and we haven't answered, even for once. We have tried desperately to liberate the land. We have tried desperately, our predecessors tried desperately, at the cost of their lives, to snatch the independence from the British, but the thought of the entire country, not of themselves in particular. Unfortunately, the other states of India, despite uttering the words of national independence or the national unity and integrity, each one is conscious of their own benefits. So may I ask you one question now? Why have the Bengalis failed to form their own political party? Why have the Bengalis played unceremonial roles to influence the state politics? Have we ever thought of that? If you consider me as parochial, if you consider me as provincial, then I do agree that I am like that. When I have not been given my right, when I am not being given my fundamental, when I am not being provided the fundamental benefits, I do have every right to ask, why am I getting exploited or targeted? And Article 19A of the Constitution of India gives me the right, this fundamental right to speak directly. I'm asking straightly to the government of India and of Bengal. What to have in reserve? They're going to continue with their own policies to make us deprived, to make us weak, and to make us go in the same manner, so that in the very coming years, within the next 10 or 12 years, we would lose the entire, not a dignity, the entire existence. Is this the ploy? This ploy had been invented by the British in 1911. To be precise, the British Raj, in its 190 years of existence in the entire British India, was defeated only for once, and it was by the Bengalis in the anti-partition movement of 1905, compelling the British government to annul the same in 1911. And from that year, 1911, the British turned its ugly strategies on. The British turned its own perilous designs to finish the Bengalis on. From 1911 to 2023, for the last 112 years, we have been on the decline. My question is to you. You, the educated elite, the student, the boys and the girl, what is in your future? Do you find any future? Do you think if your life and your family, if the entire society moves on in this sheepish attitude, you are going to make a strong destiny? I've already said, if you fail to learn from history, you are doomed to repeat it. Now I'm saying, following Sun Tzu, if you neither know the enemy nor yourself, your fate is doomed. And for that reason, our fate is doomed now. We neither know the enemy nor ourselves. We neither know the duty. We don't know what to do. Even we have no intention to know what to do. That's the most basic and the brutal reality now. The Bengali Hindus don't know what to do, and they have no intention to know even. No wise intentions, no honest intention to know even. If there are some exceptions, those exceptions do not make any count. Exceptions remain exceptions. And the world cannot be run by the exceptions. The world is run by the majority mass. West Bengal, as a state that can be still the champion of trade and commerce in India, is lagging. We are lagging even in sports, and we are being filled by national literatures that has a single intention, and it's to humiliate us, make ourselves low in our own eyes, crack our moral fiber to fight back, and use us as pygmies for manifold societal experimentations. So this is the condition for us now. Ask yourself straightly, would you come with us to join the struggle, to change the destiny? Or would you be in the room waiting for a death, a gradual, soundless death that the Bengalis are witnessing at the moment? For many people, even me, wants us to castigate the different corners, the different centers of power, like those, these people, these persons have destroyed me. But at the end of the day, I've realized it's none but we have destroyed ourselves. So again, this is a question from me, from us, from the Bengal volunteers, straight talks. Would you come with us and have a straight talk with us, to struggle together, to forge a new destiny, or would you prefer to die? I can give you lots of other informations. What's going on at this moment in the state? How our destiny, our fate is getting jeopardized with each day it passes. But it's needless at this moment. We have already witnessed several chunks in the history. We have already gone through several courses in the history to find how have we been deprived. Now the question is, would you be with us? I'm reiterating the same question, and I shall continue to ask the same question again and again. Are you ready to fight back? If you are ready to fight back, you can have a straight talk with us. Since we are in need of robust youngsters, we're in the need of people who can struggle, of people who can say straightly, I am not going to accept this destiny for me. I do have every right to have a good life. I do have every right to have a good future. And for that reason, we shall struggle. And what the governments are going on at this moment, they're following the policies of the imperialists. Tell a lie. Don't tell a little lie. Tell a big lie, so that the listeners can find or are not able to find that you were lying to them. We have been we have been seeing many things across the country now, around us. When Punjab is changing, definitely its implications will be on Bengal. We will be vulnerable once more, since we are already vulnerable and we are always vulnerable. We'll be more vulnerable in the coming days. Many people have found to say, no, this can be tolerated, you must fight back. But how can you fight back if you don't know how to fight back? If you do not know how to struggle, how can you struggle? Are you confident that your misadventure would provide you the best benefits? Utterly wrong. It cannot be. On the next Sunday or Saturday, we shall go on some straight talks with some other wells. But now I think we must end this session. We hope to have the answers from you. We hope to have the critical answers from you, or you can send your questions to us to know what to do. We shall have to rise up once more. The subject is that what has gone wrong, can we come up again? What has gone wrong? Everybody has done wrong against us, and we have done wrong also to us. We have never tried to know, we have never asked questions, we have never tried to say anything straightly, we have never tried to ask the government reasons for doing this and this. We have never questioned the governmental echelons of power and the bureaucracy. Why the Bengali Hindus are not being provided the citizenship? We have heard many things of NLC and CA and everything, but till now, tens of hundreds of Hindus in Bengal are living secretly to get rid of the governmental clause. It is being said that the Bengali Hindus shall be provided lands. The persecuted Bengali Hindus from the neighboring state of Bangladesh, but they are living in a strained and abject fear, since if they are identified, the administration will do all the nasty behaviors with them. And do you know what the nasty behaviors are? And for that reason, we are coming with this information, some very grave information, that in many areas the Bengali the Hindus are getting tortured. They are getting extinct in many areas. Where are they going? Are they becoming a part of any flesh trade, of any organ trafficking? We do not know. But the victims are definitely Bengalis. Never before we witnessed such an event in our life. We have been subject to tortures, persecutions, everything, but now we have become the Saptaroti Beshta, the Abhimanyu. That means the Abhimanyu in the Mahabharata, when in the Chakrabuha, he was surrounded by 7 Maharathis, 7 great warriors. We are the Abhimanyu these days now, of nowadays. So unless we think of ourselves separately, the Tamils have thought of themselves separately. The Sikhs have begun to think of themselves separately once more. Each one is trying to think of himself or herself separately. So for that reason, we, the Bengal Hindus, have every right to think separately, and from now. Unfortunately, Bengal has produced lots of globally acclaimed poets, literators, political leaders. While some of them went for national credentials, while some were Marxists, they went for the global revolutions. There were many, even from the Hindus, who thought of the entire country. But unfortunately, not a single has been found till now who thinks and speaks for the Bengali Hindus straightly. We are in the need of straight talks. We want to know. We want to live. I do have a right to exist. And when my existence is at stake, I shall have to come out straightly. I cannot be in a world of fancies that the government is going to come and take care of my family and my children. No, the government has never taken care of mine. They have never taken care of my nation. No government in India is going to take care of me. So I have to take care of myself. And it's also a straight conviction. It's a straight talk or straight thought procedure. Unless we gear up, unless we get strong, unless we get persons with a very erect spine, unless we get properly masculine, there is no future for us. No government, no political power is going to provide a single future for us. So we have to stand erectly. We have to stand erect. And we have to prepare ourselves. We have to train ourselves to meet any eventuality in the coming days. I do remember And I must quote the Major General A.C. Chatterjee, who was second to Netaji Bose in Indian National Army and also joined the Hindu Mahasabha in 1947. When Calcutta had become at the time the bone of contention, and each power was trying to have Calcutta, the Salari Subha had said of the Muslim League had said that if Calcutta is not achieved by us, we shall turn the entire into a graveyard, and for that reason our revolver is loaded. Major General Chatterjee reacted more strongly, stating, we shall turn every Hindu household into a fortress, every Hindu individual into a soldier, every Hindu individual, be the women, men, or children, they happen to be warriors and they must fight like warriors. It was 1947, and now 2023. We have failed to do what should have been done. We failed to remain or retain the sacrosanct character of West Bengal that was meant, that was divided, partitioned for the Bengali Hindus in particular, that has been given as a gift to all the people who are against us, or the Islamists, or the lefts, or even some non-Bengali speaking population or personalities. We are always at the receiving end. None cares for us. None gives us a good opportunity to get developed. And for all these reasons, we must know what to do. Come up straightly. If you do not get straight, there's no need for you to get straight anymore. But remember, if you can talk straightly now, you are victimizing your own children, your own posterity. You are destroying their future. Since a spineless father can never protect his children, a cruel mother can take care of her children. So in the same manner, we are working like a spineless father and a cruel mother. If you are concerned of your own children, of their future, you must come straight. You must talk straight. You must ask everything in a very, very strict manner, and must know what should be done to secure a future. What should be done to turn the future that is doomed now into some brighter note? Gone are the days when you used to mock at other ones, used to spit at the other ones, used to jostle with other ones. Gone are the days. The days are no more the same. Now let me tell you a story. In 1917, the Warsaw Treaty was signed by the European powers and inflicted on the Germans to compensate the military expenditures of the First World War. And it was nothing but to put the entire German nation to the dock. It did so. As a result, the Germans got not only disturbed, they decided in one single tone, we shall come back and we shall have the vengeance. In the Great Depression of 1929, the nationalist radicals of Germany got the greatest opportunity to move straight and talk straight, and that led to the birth of the Third Reich. The war in Europe was inevitable, and it got prominent by the 1928-29. when you are having a surrounding and environment where war rules the show, your mind attitude to run from it is not only hypocrisy but endangering the future of our own children. We cannot stay away, we cannot run away from the cruel truth. This is the fate of the Bengali Hindus at the moment. If you like, you may subscribe the channel. If you don't like, you may not subscribe the channel, but definitely we shall talk in the same tone for years to come until our existence lasts. Since Bengali Hindus are the lifeblood for Bengal volunteers, we have been following the ideals of the revolutionary leaders of the national liberation struggle, and we shall continue to do so. But definitely at the same time, we do speak of the Bengali Hindus, of the Bengali speaking Hindu population. We shall fight back straightly. We shall have straight talks, we shall have straight struggles too. There shall be no end to the struggles. We have been going on struggling, and we shall continue to do so. Thank you very much for witnessing this expression from us. Thank you very much for being a part of our session. Thank you very much. If you come with us, and if you don't come with us, we shall be in the struggle. And the next Saturdays, we shall continue to be with our programs of the postcards and reviews and everything. But again, we shall come to it with straight talks if there are unnatural developments in and out of the society that poses a threat to the existence of mine and my Bengali speaking Hindu populace. Thank you very much.